is Mr. Amobi Ezeaku, who is an advocate and a FIFA master, as well as the CEO of Rangers International Football Club. And not to mention as well that they won the league. His club won the league in 2023-2024. So fantastic to have you, Mr. Amobi. Welcome on board. My second panelist, I'm very, very excited to introduce this lady, Mrs. Ferdinand Alassi. I hope I've mentioned your name well. I hope I did a bit of justice. It's a difficult name, from Togo. She is the first woman to lead the Togo Archery Federation, as well as the head of missions and director of general service of the National Olympic Committee of Togo. And something else I found out the other day from her, away from sports as well, she is the youngest Togolese local councillor representing a municipality in Togo. Good to have you, Ms. Alassi. Welcome on board. My third panelist, of course, the fastest man in Africa, Mr. Ferdinand Omanyala. He is the 100 meters record holder, African 100 meters record holder, 2 times Olympian as well, and he'll be representing Kenya as well in the World Athletics in September. So welcome on board, Mr. Ferdinand Omanyala. And my final panelist is Dr. Farai Sanders, an international sports and development expert, an executive director of the International Platform of Sports for Development. Ben is also a research associate at the UNESCO, chair of sports development, peace, and Olympic education, the first of its kind in Africa. I'm sure he'll share more of his experience when we get into the conversations. So I want to introduce, I think now is the time to, because we need to know each other, we need to know who are YALS, who are the African Union Sports Council, and I would like to introduce our YALS president, that is Mr. Timothy Kaja, to join the conversation, to just share his welcoming note. Welcome, Mr. Timothy Kaja.
Thank you, Hilda, for the kind introduction. Can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes.
All right, very good. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, from wherever you could be tuning in from. Our esteemed ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stand by the already established protocol. My name is Timothy Kaja, and I am serving as the chairperson of the Young African Leaders in Sports, which we abbreviate as YALS Forum. And we are very much humbled to have you join us today. About YALS, YALS is a continental forum, a non-government organization that brings together, nurtures, and creates leadership opportunities for young persons in the sports sector. We welcome youth, sports stakeholders, well-wishers, and those who subscribe to YALS objectives to join the movement. Today's webinar, as already hinted, is organized with our dearest partners, the African Union's Sports Council, and we'll be focusing on African youth and sports leadership. Africa remains by far the world's youngest continent, making about 1 billion people who are youths or younger than that. And this makes it imperative on us to deliberately involve youths in all sectors of the continent, with sports being a key pillar to that. Talking sports, the continent's sports economy is currently valued at least 12 billion US dollars. And PwC projects that our growth rate of that sector is at about 8%. So that trajectory illuminates limitless opportunities for youths on the continent. But these opportunities do not come to us automatically or by default. If we were to have that view, we would still see these opportunities come up and be swept away by other constituencies. So to take up these opportunities, we need to prepare ourselves and rise to the occasion. And today's webinar is another giant step towards achieving that target. As our moderator has ably put, we have assembled a very rich panel that will share with us the knowledge, skills, and experiences. I urge all of us to pay keen attention to the deliberations of the day so we can make the best of it. I wish us all a very fruitful session. Merci beaucoup, asante sana. Let's enjoy this one. Back to you, Hilda.
Thank you so much, Mr. Timothy Kaja. As he said, we listen. Today is about learning and listening and just enjoying the webinar as well. So on behalf, I think Mr. Dr. Abel Basutu will have a welcoming remark just on behalf of the African Union Commission, Acting Director for Social Development, Culture and Sports, Mrs. Angela Martins. On her behalf, we have Dr. Abel Basutu. Kindly, Doctor, share your welcoming remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam Cheptoo. Let me start by acknowledging Honorable Gwego Ngarambe, the Minister of State for Sports, Republic of Rwanda, Dr. Decius Chipande, the Coordinator and Head of the African Union Sports Council, Mr. Timothy Kaja, President of the Young African Leaders in Sport, our distinguished panelists from across the African sports fraternity, our seasoned moderator, Madam Cheptoo, and all esteemed participants joining us from all over here today. Greetings from Addis Ababa. On behalf of Madam Angela Martins, the Director for Social Development, Culture and Sports at the African Union Commission, who regrettably could not be with us today, I would like to extend a heartfelt and warm welcome to you all. This is the second edition of our webinar series that we are jointly hosting in collaboration with the Young African Leaders in Sports, a Pan-African forum advocating for inclusion of young people in African sport leadership and governance. We jointly hosted the first webinar in October 2024, which focused on the status of the African sports economy and identified available business and professional opportunities for youth. And today, we bring you some of the continent's top leaders who have continued to demonstrate exceptional talent, passion, and potential on the sports playing fields, in the boardrooms, and in leadership spaces. And therefore, this high-level panel group has been put together to ignite passion and equip African youth with necessary knowledge, skills, and awareness to pursue and excel in leadership roles within the diverse portfolios of the sports industry. The goal is to have a platform for youth to connect, to share, to learn, influence, and contribute to society through sport. And this aligns with the African Union Sports Council Strategic Plan 2024 to 2028, Priority 2, Equity and Inclusion, with a focus on developing and implementing tools and systems to empower youth, women, and persons with disabilities to ensure their active participation in sports. From this webinar, we hope to increase awareness among African youth on leadership pathways through the experiences of successful youth leaders. We also encourage strong collaborations between sports institutions and youth organizations across the continent. And let me end my remarks by extending our heartfelt appreciation to our distinguished panelists for graciously taking time from their demanding schedules to share their invaluable experiences and insights on youth sports and on youth and sports leadership. Their contributions will undoubtedly enrich this dialogue, and we all eagerly look forward to learning and growing from the perspectives they will offer. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Cheptoo.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abel, for that. And as he mentioned in his speech today, we were supposed to have Honorable Rwego from Minister for Sports in Rwanda. Unfortunately, just due to his official duties, he wasn't able to join us, but he was kind enough to share a video just to talk to us a bit about himself or about his experiences as well. So I'll send it to Mr. Dlamini. Kindly, if you could share with the audience what Honorable Rwego shared with us.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Hilda. Just a disclosure, I'm the technical person here. The message is on the screen now. Can you please confirm if you can see the video, Ms. Hilda?
Yes, you can see.
This webinar on African youth sport leadership couldn't be more timely. It speaks to a future where young people don't just play the game, but they lead it. Africa is the youngest continent on earth, yet while our youth dominate the pitch, they are still sidelined in leadership, and this must urgently change. Sport is a powerful driver of unity, identity, and transformation. The African Union's frameworks call on us to embed youth leadership not as a gesture, but as a system. That's what this gathering represents, and we applaud it. In Rwanda, we are making that vision real. From school sports programs like Isonga to elite infrastructure like BK Arena, Amahoro Stadium, to bold partnership with global clubs like Arsenal, PSG, we are building a platform where youth can thrive, both on and off the field. Africa's next generation of sports leaders is not coming. They are here already. If you dream of shaping this game, your time is now. Let this forum be the spark. Let's build a continent where youth leadership is not an exception, but is a rule. Thank you, and keep pushing boundaries.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dlamini. As you've seen, that is Mr. Rwego, Honorable Minister from Rwanda. He sent us a message. The youth leaders are here. We are here, and it's now. I think it's the right time now to just transition this conversation to get to know more now about our panelists that we have been able to assemble, for them to share their journey in sports leadership, how it began, how they got themselves there, what are the same pivotal things they have done in their journey in sports. So for this next session, I think I'll just start by a disclaimer. I hope on the comment section for our audience, kindly, I would love to hear from you, just in the comment section, are leaders born or are leaders made? I would love to hear your thoughts, or it's a bit of both. So kindly share in the comment section, and I think we'll be able to read some of your views there. As we now transition to the panel discussions, I think I'll first introduce Mr. Amobi, Ezeaku, just CEO Rangers, one of the youngest CEOs or club CEOs we have in the continent, to share his journey in sports leadership and to inspire us as well. Take the floor, Mr. Amobi Ezeaku.
Thank you so much, Hilda. I'm happy to be here with all of us. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are listening to us from. My name is Amobi Ezeaku. I am a sports executive, legal expert, and football administrator. I'm currently serving as the Chief Executive Officer of Rangers International Football Club, Enugu, Nigeria, one of Nigeria's most historic and decorated football institutions. As one of the youngest CEOs of a top-flight African club, I am committed to redefining leadership, innovation, and sustainability in African football. Hilda did not say, but I hold the prestigious FIFA Master in management, law, and humanities of sports. And I'm also a graduate of the UEFA Academy, which has equipped me with the tools to contribute meaningfully to global and continental sports development. I also serve as a FIFA Pro Bono Counsel, and I also lead the sports law section of Lexetas LLP, where I specialize in sports governance, dispute resolution, and football-related legal advisory. Since taking office at Rangers, we've overseen critical reforms, securing key brand partnerships, launching the Rangers Academic House Youth Development Program, establishing a professional women's team, and restoring the club's competitive stature. And that's why in 2024, under our leadership, like Hilda rightly pointed out, we won the Nigerian Premier Football League title and reasserted ourselves as a force on the African continent. I'm very passionate about the power of football to shape society, to inspire the youth, and to build institutional legacies. And my mission really is to help create a football or sports ecosystem in Africa that is professionally run, inclusive, and globally respected. So for young people like myself listening, today is about the exchange of ideas. Today, I sit here to tell you that through your power, through the power within, the African deep force within, that you can always excel. We can always redefine ourselves. We can always be the best we can be. So I think this is a perfect place to stop, because I know we are going to have a very, very amazing moment. Thank you. And back to you, Hilda.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amobi, for your presentation. And something that I've really picked is the women's team. I hope when you get into the question section, I hope I can ask you a few questions about what some of the things you have done to come up with the women's team. What are the nitty-gritties of it? So good. Thank you so much. The next person I would love to hear from, just to share their journey, their sports journey. I would love to bring on board Miss Posobindo Sylvestre Alassi. Kindly share with us your story and your journey.
Thank you, Cheptoo. I'm moved and honored to be invited to this panel to share knowledge, the aspect of my journey and my aspiration to build foundation of the good practice while facilitating learning of the young in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, good morning and one welcome for all of us to this webinar. During the first meeting, the name is a key to open the heart. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sylvestre Alassi, the National Olympic Committee of Togo Chief of Mission. I'm also the Director of General Service of my AUSC and the Director of Programs. I forget, I'm also the President of Archery Federation and the youngest council women in Togo. I'm from Ogu municipality. I love that the idea of training contributes to the transformation of the world for individual person, and for both of us. It will be a shame if an experience can be shared. Then my object, every time I take opportunity to work and to learn. I work with the exciting projects like the Olympic Games in 2024 in Paris, with Olympic Solidarity Games. And these particular events make me appreciate the diversity of the human relationship training and skill is one of my beings, is why I already want to learn more. Now I make another master in Olympic study, Olympic education, and organizing of Olympic events, which is caused by the University of Peloponnese in Greece. I like objective for my personality. In the long term, I want to my goal, which one I want to achieve, is to become the one of the female in African sport, which can share the strategic and practice for all of us. Bring my skill and share. I'm a really dynamic person to take challenge, and I'm built in challenge to make more person. I think when we will finish at the end of the webinar, we will have more opportunity to talk about our journey and to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alassi. I think from what you've said, what I've picked is you're somebody who wants to continue learning. You want also to continue sharing the knowledge as well, especially for women in the continent as well. So it's good to have you, Ms. Alassi. And our next panelist that we'd love to hear his journey, his passion, and of course, the fastest man in Africa, Mr. Ferdinand Omanyala. Kindly share with us your journey in sports and sports leadership as well.
Thank you, Hilda. I guess you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Everyone who's here, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. My name is Ferdinand Omanyala. I hold the African record in 100 meters and 150 meters that was set like 3 months ago in Atlanta. I'm also the Commonwealth champion and national record for the 60s, the 100, the 150, the 300, name it. So I know a couple of guys might have gone through the socials and Google to check up my history, but let me now tell you from the horse mouth. I started sprinting as a mistake, those good accidents that you can call it, because I used to play rugby before. I played rugby in my high school years for 2 years. I still love rugby. I think at some point I'll go back and play rugby, but it was like just a trial and error thing. Kenya is not known for middle and short distances. I mean, Kenya is just not for middle and long distances. So for me, it was like, let me see what this sport can give me. And falling in love with sprint was a bit hard because I wanted to balance it out between rugby and sprinting. But sprinting takes a lot from you. So I had to choose one. And my idea was to get into the track for only 6 months and get back to the pitch. So since 2016, the 6 months are not yet over, but yeah, my plan was just to get back and play rugby. So over the years, I've grown to appreciate that leadership is very important, because I never had someone I can look up to. I never had a role model from my region whom I can just say, I want to be like that person. And that, to me, I took it as a personal initiative. And that's why I came up with the Omanyala Foundation. So the Omanyala Foundation basically is a foundation that will be so invested into developing talent, not just in sprints, but all over, all the other sports. Because I believe in the next coming years, we are going to use sports as our biggest economy, because it's a way of employment, and our kids, the white collar jobs are not going to be available anymore. And I'm looking at this situation in the next 10, 15 years where we can have so many sportsmen and women that can be employed, and they can appreciate the professionalism of the sports sector. So over the years, I've grown, and I'm glad that we can have such forums to just tell people that whatever you believe in, it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter how much influence you're going to have, or how much backstab you're going to have from that space that you are in. I love such forums, because we're going to now show people that it's not just about what people do in your country. It's about what you think that's different from what people want you to do. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that in the course of this session, you're going to share so many experiences together. And I'm glad that the numbers also look so nice. So I'm really happy about this.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Omanyala. Yes, and something you've mentioned very important, the Omanyala Foundation as well. I think it's a very, very good initiative just to inspire the next generation of athletes. So I think that's a very, very good initiative. And as we transition now, we go to Ms. Dr. Sanders, and something from all our panelists before who spoke before, knowledge sharing, skill sharing, and I think this is the perfect, and this is where now Dr. Ben Sanders come in. So Dr. Sanders, kindly take the floor and share with us what you have in the aspect of knowledge sharing.
Great, thank you, Ms. Cheptoo, and I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Good afternoon, good morning, bonjour, molweni from South Africa, where I am at the southern tip of Africa. My name is Ben Farai Sanders, and it's an honor to be here with everyone, all protocol observed. I am from Zimbabwe originally, Harare, but now living in Cape Town, South Africa, and glad to be among such distinguished colleagues and guests. I will do a short presentation about some of the work we've been doing at this platform on sports and development, and specifically the work on youth leadership, and you know, how we've been working, especially across Africa, as a pivotal place. So I hope everyone can see my show, and I will try to keep it to 10 minutes. So, you know, we've been talking a lot about sport for development and peace, but, you know, how can we sustain, how can we strengthen, and how can we scale this work across Africa and among young people? And this is even more challenging now with the global aid crisis. A little bit about sport for development. It's grown rapidly in the last 20 years. There's a huge diversity of actors and approaches. It's been recognized by the AU. It's been recognized by the UN, the Commonwealth, the IOC, and many other public and private actors. But we still face quite a range of challenges in sport for development, and I'll come to those challenges and opportunities shortly. Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, specifies how sport can be a vital contributor to these goals and these outcomes, as do the Sustainable Development Goals. And it's really important to note that despite many leading sport for development programs occurring across Africa, there's a greater need for influence and decision-making from the African continent in global policy-making processes. Paragraph 37 is often quoted from the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and the role of sport as an enabler of sustainable development, and specifically cites the contributions it makes to the empowerment of women and of young people, young leaders, which is what this webinar is about. And so I think it's important to note that this is great, and that while sport is recognized in Agenda 2030, there are still no clear goals, targets, or indicators related to sport. Maybe in the next set of global goals, there's a role for us to advocate for sport to have an even more prominent role with binding commitments for member states and others. What are some of the challenges and opportunities facing sport for development? Well, the sector is unequal across regions, across demographics such as gender, race, disability. There's a resourcing challenge complicated by the global aid crisis, a great diversity, but a lack of coordination, collective impact. And we still see north-driven Anglo-centric neo-colonial approaches and limited engagement of young people as beneficiaries and implementers. It is time for youth leadership, and that time, as has been said by the minister from Rwanda, is now. There is also a capacity building challenge in the sector, and there's a real need to build capacity to design, deliver, measure sport for development policies and projects. And capacity building and knowledge production is often uneven and led by the global north, when there's a lot of good research and good practices coming from the African continent. I think it's also really important, while we talk about this, to note that sport is a fundamental human right. It's enshrined in many different treaties, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and many others. But too many people across the globe and in Africa, especially certain groups, such as girls and women, refugees and migrants, persons with disabilities cannot access this right. And actually, since COVID, we've seen the numbers of people that have access to sport drop. So this has been referred to as a forgotten right, and it's important that it is forgotten no more. We face a range of interconnected and deep-seated crises, and sport can play a role in addressing these in the relief, response, and recovery efforts, including right now in the climate change crisis and many other humanitarian crises. So what are Sport and Dev? How are we helping, and what are we doing? How can you get involved? And we're a leading hub for the sports and development community to share knowledge, build good practice, coordinate with others, and create partnerships. We have about 600,000 people visit our website every year, with many from different African countries and across the globe. Our vision is a world where sport serves everyone in society, and we aim to strengthen, sustain, and realize the use of sport for development and peace. We do run our website and a massive open online course, and I'll provide those links on the platform, but we do see that organizations, actors, individuals are using information from Sport and Dev in their projects and programs to strengthen their policies, their practice, and to result in real impact and influence across the globe. We have a range of different partners, including the African Union Sports Council, whom we've been proudly working with for a number of years. As I said, we're best known for our website, sportanddev.org. I encourage you to go to the website to get involved, to register your organization or as an individual, to submit your news and content. And we provide an open access website. All resources and tools are free. And we now provide this in multiple UN languages: English, French, Spanish, and Arabic, knowing that both French and Arabic are well spoken across the African continent, and that there's a need to provide tools and resources in other languages so that people can access them and use them to improve their work. We've run a number of other initiatives, and I'll go through these quickly because I am conscious of time, but we've run a campaign on reshaping sport and development, which is really important to address inequities and reshape a more equal sector with no one left behind. We've developed some guidance around sport and the SDGs in partnership with the Commonwealth and worked hard with policy actors, including in the African Union. And we have run campaigns on youth leadership and engagement, one in 2021, but we do it every year. We amplify the voices of youth around International Youth Day. And I think it's really important to note here that while everyone often talks about youth being the future, youth are not just the future, youth are the present. And we need to acknowledge this, we need to celebrate this, and we need to accord young people the rightful role they deserve in sport for development and peace. We've done some sport policy work, including with the African Union Sports Council, as mentioned, and we've developed a number of sections on our website to provide guidance on how to use sports policies and programs for sustainable development. And finally, our massive open online course on sport for sustainable development, developed in partnership with Australian government and the Commonwealth, has reached almost 10,000 learners from 200 countries and counting, with excellent feedback on how learners are going to be using this knowledge in their everyday work. We have launched the course in French, Spanish, and Arabic, and we launched the first hybrid course in Africa with the African Union Sports Council and the Commonwealth, with Dr. Chipande, Mr. Dlamini, and many others around the continent. We had 42 senior government officials take part, and we brought these people together at the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa, and with these officials then taking the learnings back to their countries to implement sport for sustainable development in their policies and in their programs. And officials reported that they could now better design, deliver, measure, and advocate for sport-based policies and programs to make a greater impact in their country. And at this time, when we face global aid cuts, there is a risk that sport for development is seen as a lower priority, but we need to make the case why sport can contribute to health, education, crime prevention, economic development, and many other areas of sustainable development and peace across the African continent and globally. Finally, how can you get involved and how can you benefit? Sport Endeavour exists for, by, and with our community of practice. And you can register as a user on our website. You can register as an organization. You can submit content, news, information, jobs, events, and you can now do so in multiple UN languages. And your submission may be translated into other languages as well. We seek to amplify the voices of those from the Global South, in better informing policy and practice. You can join our massive open online course, which is free. It's open access. It's an 8-week course, and it's available in those same 4 UN languages. You can submit a variety of news, events, media, jobs and opportunities, as well as research and learning resources. We have over 700 open access research and learning resources available for free that you can access on our site. As we seek to democratize knowledge production and consumption in sport development, again, profiling both academic and programmatic research from across the world, including in Africa, where much good research and practice has been developed, but has not yet been circulated globally. So, to conclude, and I look forward to discussing more with my fellow panelists, sport for development has grown rapidly in the 21st century. There are a range of challenges and opportunities. Agenda 2063 and the SDGs, they provide a common framework for action. And many countries, including African states, have aligned to these frameworks. But our world is unequal, more unequal than ever. South Africa and many African states are unequal, and sport can be unequal. So for sport to play a role in times of crisis, for sport to contribute to sustainable development and peace, we need to reshape sport to better serve all of society. And Africa can continue to play a leading role in this process, given the diversity of experiences and best practice examples, providing a game-changing opportunity to target greater impact for society in and through sport. As was said at the dawn of democracy in South Africa, when this country emerged from the shackles of apartheid into freedom, Sekunjalo Kenako, now is the time. And I thank you in the 11 official languages of my country. Thank you, Nkosi Kakhulu.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ben Sanders. I think that was a very, very great presentation. Just the power of sports. Sport has a lot of power. Sports can make a lot of change, and just sports can make the world a better place. So thank you so much for that presentation. And I think it's the best way to now transition now to the panel discussions. And I think this is an interaction, conversation just between our panelists, where each will have a question just to tackle each question. And I'll also have follow-up questions as well. And I think that's the best way to continue this conversation. And I think some are very pivotal to start with. I think we should start with what are the challenges? So for what are the biggest barriers, or what hinders youth from taking leadership positions? What are some of those challenges? I think I'll just start with you, Dr. Ben, as I transition to the other panelists. What do you think are some of the challenges?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think, you know, the 3 words that come to mind here for me are equity, access, and opportunity. So, you know, making sure that people, young people and others, are able to access sport, are able to benefit from it, they have equal opportunity, and that there's equity, because we know the world is not equal, that many groups, women and girls, refugees, persons with disabilities, do not have the same access as others. So yeah, equity, access, and opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ben. So we've heard from Ben, equity, access, and opportunity. I don't know, Mr. Amobi, what do you think? What are some of the barriers that keep the young people from taking these leadership positions?
Yeah, thank you, Hilda. I told the part of Dr. Ben, but I will say I've chosen 5 words. The first is access, the second exposure, the third is mentorship, the fourth is trust, and the 5th one is structure. So for access, you find that So many young people in Africa are brimming with talent, with ideas, and the will to lead, but they are locked out of the system. There are no clear pathways. There are no open doors. And sometimes there aren't even visible doors to knock on. So leadership and opportunity remain confined to small circles of influence. And if you are not known or connected, your passion is seen as noise. So this breeds frustration, this breeds disillusionment, and often it also breeds exit from the sector. So most young people who have this passion but don't have access, they just, lose hope. Again, there is the idea of exposure. We live in a world where the global sports ecosystem is constantly evolving, and from governance reforms and media rights to data analytics and athlete welfare. But how many of our young aspirants are truly exposed to the modern realities of sports management? How many have ever been in a room where sports law, marketing, or broadcasting is being demystified? Without access to this kind of learning, we remain limited by the structures of the past, while the rest of the world moves ahead. And next is the painful absence of mentorship. And that is why I'm always happy when I see Ferdinand Omanyala, because we met in Nairobi during a program organized by our friend in Nairobi. We cannot continue to talk about youth leadership while keeping wisdom hoarded in the minds of elders. Leadership is not a seat, it's a responsibility to multiply ourselves. So unfortunately, across much of African sports, you find that succession planning is not institutionalized. And then we have very few leaders who are deliberately growing the next generation. Instead of ladders, we have ceilings. So for instance, in Rangers, I've made it a point of duty to use the instrumentality of the Rangers Innovation Hub to train young leaders who can do courses and broaden their horizon. The fourth word which I listed is the aspect of trust. There is an unspoken fear of youth. There's an unspoken fear of youth. A fear that if young people are allowed in, they may just change too much. And this creates a leadership culture where competence takes a backseat to age, hierarchy, or familiarity. Young people are given ceremonial roles, but not the space to make decisions. This lack of trust is a silent killer of innovation. And finally, structure. Without clear policies, job descriptions, and performance systems, we are building castles on sand. And young people need to know the rules of the game. We need leagues that run consistently, clubs that are professionally managed, and associations that see leadership as service and not as survival. So yes, access, exposure, mentorship, trust, structure. These are the 5 walls for me standing in the way of young Africans who want to lead the future of sports. But I think I will conclude by saying that walls can be broken. And it starts by having conversations like this, then backing them up with commitment, systems, and the courage to let go of our outdated models. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amobi. Well said, well said. And I said that is why it's very important to have these conversations where we identify the problems, and hopefully by the end of the webinar, we have some solutions. At least we have some actionable solutions, and in our different spaces, we can go and try and do the work and just make the changes. So I'll go to Mr. Omanyala. I don't know, Mr. Omanyala, what do you think are some of the barriers that make this youth not get involved in sports leadership?
I won't add to anything that has been said. I think Amobi and Sanders have covered everything. But just to add on, I think there's that fear, the fear of like getting back into the system and, being swayed back into the system and being put together as the guys who have always been there. I think that's been one of the major challenges. But I think as athletes, we command a lot of influence. And I think we should now just start getting off that fear and just get back to it. Because I believe we have been, like, say, me, I know how the sprint world works inside out. So it will be very bad of me. I'll be doing the sport injustice of just working out after retirement. I think that fear should be contained by athletes and, just get back and trying to like look at it as, let me help the guys who are coming after me because we are the people who know how this sport works. So I think it will be fair to just get back to the sport and, just be part of it.
Yeah, that one, I agree. It's a conversation that we've always had. When athletes finish their career, most of them don't get back into the sport. Most of them just disappear, and you hear from them later on that something either happened to them and they're gone. So it's something that is very, very important. Just that bit of transitioning as an athlete also to start planning for retirement and having those goals. If I retire at the age of maybe 30 or 35, my next step is I want to remain in the sport, but how do I remain in the sport? I can either be a coach, I can either get into administration. So there are other things or other life after sport, but within the sport as well. I think that is a very.
But again, I think athletes need to also start understanding that there's an end to our careers because, sometimes we don't really understand that, Sometimes you are swamped by, we are deafened and blinded by the money and the fame, and we think that this won't come to an end. So I think that's something that's really affecting the sport because people think that they won't retire. They will be doing this forever. So it becomes hard for them to plan for their transition into the offices. So let's say like me, I've already started doing leadership courses. I don't know I'll retire after 10 years, 8 years, but I've already started doing that because I know at some point I'll be needed back into the sport and to give my ideas and my expertise into the sport. So I think an advice to athletes is that it's not forever. You are here for at most 20 years if you're doing it so good and elongated it, but it should be, we need to realize that there's an end to this, and we need to now understand that there are other things apart from what we do. Like you can go to class, get an education, you can start doing things that you love that's away from the sport. So I think our athletes now need to really understand that.
Thank you so much for that perspective. It's a very, very, very important perspective. Just life after being an athlete. There's so much more one can do and back to the society and just give back to the sport as well. And I think I'll go now to Ms. Alassi just to hear her thoughts. What are some of the challenges? What do you think are the barriers that make the youth not get into these leadership positions? And also, I would love your perspective as well as a woman. What are some of the barriers or challenges that you have faced?
Like Mr. Amobi said also, Ghana is about culture. In some culture, they said, you are too young to make this one, or you are too young, like women. A sport sector is for men, not for women. Every time you are facing something like that. Even me, when I become the chief of mission of my AUSC, I just have 27 years. And for my first meeting, the guy is like, who is this athlete? No, it's not the room of athlete there, it's the room of chief of mission. And then I say, I'm chief of mission. They say, no, your AUSC didn't need to take a young girl like you. You are our baby. Because all the chief of mission we see there are around 50, 54, something like that. And then if you will see the barrier also, we can talk about the governance. They didn't have the support of governance for young people. You have like the lack of skill, or some young people are not, they didn't have the education, they didn't have competence to be a good a young leader. You also have the challenges of finance, about like money, resourcing challenge in the leadership or the barrier. You also have like the lack of skill. When I talk about the lack of skill, you know, not being skilled enough for young women. You also have like the culture, the environment of all of us. You know, you didn't have the same barrier if you are in West Africa than if you are in West Africa or North Africa. You have some challenging crossing the region, and you have also the challenges crossing your gender, your race, and everything. Just is my adding, and then I think my colleague will add something more. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Alassi. I think from what you've said, there's a big challenge where there is no support for young people who want to get into leadership. Something as well, I think Mr. Amobi has mentioned, maybe that is through mentorship. There are no maybe mentorship programs to transition young people or prepare young people to be leaders. Something else, maybe knowledge as well, knowledge that is in terms of skills, learning or getting your certificates and documents in order as well, so that maybe you can be ready for those positions. So there's that challenge as well. So I think across the board, there are similarities to each of your contributions. And I think I'll also go now to Ben Sanders in terms of skills now. What are the measures that can be implemented for adequate training of youth aspiring sports leaders for modern day sports management? That is in terms of knowledge capacity.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Hilda. That's a great question. So I think there's a gap here, and there's a real opportunity for greater knowledge sharing and exchange of experience, which is critically important. And this goes both ways, within countries, between countries, and within regions, across regions, not just north to south, but south to south, south to north, across the globe. And I think, you know, Africa has a lot to share in this regard, with many leading sport for development and peace initiatives taking place across the continent. But despite this, I think there's often still sometimes a north-driven or top-down approach to knowledge research and policy making. And so that's an opportunity to change that dynamic. And there are also real gaps and opportunities to build greater capacity among stakeholders globally and among young people in Africa to mainstream sport for development. So not as a nice to have, but as something that you know, plays a critical role in contributing to other areas, health, education, etc. And a part of this training, you know, includes training people how to design, plan, deliver, and measure policies and programs that use sport to contribute to the SDGs and Agenda 2063. We can't just assume that sport automatically produces positive outcomes, but a well-designed, well-delivered, well-planned, and a policy and program that is measured can be successful in contributing to development and peace. And there are opportunities on the continent in this field. I spoke about our website, which has information, tools, and resources in 4 UN languages, which is free and open access. This includes research, this includes training, this includes toolkits, and as well as our massive open online course. But there are also other programs at universities, training developed by NGOs, that provide ways for young people to gain experience, knowledge, and expertise in this field. And I think young people can be and should be recognized as experts in sport for development and peace, and not only as beneficiaries or coaches implementing programs, but actually play an active role in the participation, design, and delivery of programs and policies. And yeah, there is still a long way to go. You know, we have come a long way. But as Nelson Mandela said, you know, I've climbed a great hill, but there are many more hills left to climb. So we've come a long way, but I think we still have a long way to go in mainstreaming sport for development and peace across Africa and globally, and welcome the efforts of all the actors here, including African Union Sport Council, and their work to capacitate government officials with skills to design, deliver, and measure policies and programs. So I'll leave it there for now, but happy to share more information as needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe just to add on that, maybe you can share with us if there are any available maybe statistics for such opportunities in the field.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we see a real demand. So, you know, like our course which we launched, we've now had 10,000 people showing that there's a real demand for policy making and program delivery. And we've also seen that across, you know, Africa having the youngest population in the world, and this being expected to grow, that there's both a challenge and an opportunity here for young people to upskill and addressing the challenges of young people not in employment, education, and training. So in South Africa, we have over 50% of young people not in employment, education, or training. And there's an opportunity to bring these people into productive education, employment, and training. There is also evidence and statistics that show that sport is more likely to employ and train young people than other sectors. So in other words, there's a real opportunity for sport to engage young people at a greater proportion than the other sectors of society. So when you add all of this together, the need, the challenge, and the opportunity, you know, there's a real role for sport to play in bridging some of these divides, and the demographic divide, the digital divide, and in incapacitating young people to not only you know, get involved and benefit, but to really take leadership roles. So happy to share more information on that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think those numbers are very important so that you can just get a bigger picture of exactly what is happening in the continent with youth unemployability or employability as well. So that is very, very key. And as I go to Amobi, Ezeaku as well, I would love to know just from you, how can young people position themselves for these leadership roles?
Yeah, thank you so much again, Ms. Hilda, and of course, thank you, Dr. Sanders, for your insight. I think that to adequately train young aspiring sports leaders in Africa, we must first understand that modern sports management is no longer instinctive, and it is intentional, is data-driven, and globally benchmarked. So leadership today demands technical knowledge in finance, in law, governance, digital innovation, athlete development. So what can we do? First, education. In my previous comment, I pointed out that I met Ferdinand in Nairobi during the African Football Business Summit organized by our good friend, Mr. Brian Wasala. It was an opportunity for us to really speak about some of these key issues. Education must be reformed and expanded. Most African universities still do not offer specialized sports management programs. And according to a 2023 UNESCO study, less than 15% of tertiary institutions in sub-Saharan Africa offer accredited courses in sports administration or management. And that's a structural gap, if you ask me. We need to collaborate with global institutions like the FIFA Master, the CIES network. I think there is a network in South Africa and in Cairo at the moment. And of course, the UEFA Academy, to localize programs that are affordable and context specific. And now it brings me to an argument. I spoke about UEFA Academy. We have CAF, Confederation of African Football. They can expand the horizon by bringing up something like the CAF Academy or whatever they may wish to call it. In Nigeria, for example, out of over 170 universities, fewer than 10 offer a sports-related degree with international relevance. That's not enough to feed the future of a growing billion-dollar industry. Second, we need hands-on practical exposure. Theoretical learning without industry immersion will not produce competent leaders. So internships, club attachments, mentorship programs, and fellowships across federations and academies are essential. So young people must be embedded in the process, not just watching from the stands. Yet, only about 5 to 7% of African sports organizations currently run a structured internship or youth mentorship program, according to the 2022 CAF Capacity Development Report. Thirdly, digital and remote learning platforms must be scaled. We cannot leave education behind in the digital age. Platforms like Coursera, like EDX, and even FIFA's own FIFA diploma in football law and club management offer a chance to decentralize access. But again, the uptake in Africa is still low, mostly due to lack of awareness and access to connectivity. So we must actively promote these resources. For instance, only 2% of applicants to the 2024 FIFA Master came from West Africa, despite the region being one of the most vibrant football territories in the world. That tells us the problem is not potential, it is positioning. Fourth, again, I think that private and public partnerships are key. Government must see sports education as a nation-building tool and not just recreation. Most times they see it as recreation. Corporate sponsors should also begin to support education pipelines as part of CSR or talent development strategy. And finally, we must measure progress. We need data. How many youth are trained? How many get placed in leadership roles? How many rise in federations, clubs, media houses, or tech companies within sports? Until we count, we cannot scale. Until we build systems, we will keep repeating cycles of short-term analysis. So in summary, reform education, expand practical training, leverage digital learning, form partnerships, and track the data. That's how we build a generation of African sports leaders ready for the world stage. Thank you, Hilda.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Amobi. I think you have summarized it very, very well and just provided some practical solutions on how we can mitigate or we can solve the issues. I think those are very, very key points. Education is important. I think it's something I struggled with a bit because I wanted to study something in sports business, and it was difficult to find a university across the continent that offers that education. So I think you are very, very, very on point with what you have said. And I think I'll just go to Miss Alassi as well, just to share, because something we've mentioned through this webinar is mentorship. So I would love to hear your thoughts. What are some of the ways we can build stronger mentorship pipelines in Africa, especially even as well as a woman as well in the industry? How can we make strong mentorship programs or strong pipelines?
Thank you. Cheptoo, hello. Thank you. I think about this kind of question. We need first, if you want to be in this industry, you need first to know yourself. To know yourself enough, to know what you can do and what you cannot do. To know your level and to be aware to learn more and more.
Unfortunately, I can't hear Ms. Alassi. I don't know, maybe she's having a bit of a technical issue. I can't hear her. Mr.
Yes,
Dlamini,
Ms.
can you hear her?
Cheptoo. She
Yes.
did write in. She is having power outage issues. So maybe we
Okay.
can move on, and then if she returns, we can allow her the opportunity to conclude.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much, Mr. Dlamini. And I think I'll just transition to go to Mr. Omanyala, and I'd just love to hear from you. You know, as you mentioned earlier, elite athletes, you know, command a huge fan and supporter base as well. So how can we tap into that, or how can athletes be actively involved in youth leadership just beyond the field? I think we had alluded a bit on an earlier conversation, but maybe you can get more into the details. Mr. Omanyala?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I didn't know. Sorry about that. Could you
Yes,
come back again?
Okay. Yes, as you mentioned earlier, how can elite athletes, because you command a big following that is supporters and fans as well, how can they get more involved in sports leadership just away from the pitch?
One thing I think that athletes need to, like after retirement, let's get back to the sport. You know, let's get back and be part of the sport, because we have athletes that most of the time, like in Kenya, there are so many athletes who can come back to the sport and give back to the sport, but they just disappear. Because, you know, like I said, we have so much experience. Some have been running for more than 15 years, and they really understand the sports in and out. And another thing, I think, it's because of that brand value that you bring back to the sport. Because I understand, let's say you're going in to look for a sponsorship for an Olympic team that's traveling to the Olympics. You know, the face of it, like you just being the brand and the face of that meeting, it brings trust from these people. So I think we can all use that as athletes and just get back and, you know, take over the sports industry so that we don't have countries politicizing sports. Sports is not something that should be politicized by our leaders. It's something that should be done out of heart, and because it's holding so many individuals who are innocent and they're looking forward to get something out of the sport to use it to, you know, build their futures. So I think as sportsmen and women, we have so much influence. We are big. They command so much presence when they just walk into a place or in a room. So I think getting back to the sport after retirement is going to be a big help for us as a sports industry.
I think it's a very, very important point. It's just getting back to the game, getting back in a different capacity and supporting the sports ecosystem to just. And I think I'll just go back to Mr. Amobi as well. You mentioned about having the women's team in your club. I would love to hear how that came about, some of the structures that you had to put in place to make it happen.
Thank you so much, Hilda. First of all, because you've asked me about the Rangers International Football Club women's team, I'll use this opportunity to say again, congratulations to the Super Falcons of Nigeria on winning the WAFCON 2024, the champions of Africa. The 10th time is not easy. And coming to that, yesterday I was with the captain and some members of the team, and they were so glad about the idea of the Rangers women team. For those who may not know, Rangers Football Club was formed in 1970, and since 1970 till date, no women team. And we keep saying women, they beautify the world, they make the world livable and all that. And yet we don't want to create a balanced ecosystem. And then we felt it's important that we nurture the Rangers women team. And I'm happy to announce that as we speak, some of the girls are even doing their video shoot for their unveiling. So the idea is to use the power of football to make sure that we save souls, especially in a world where there is increase in moral decadence. So for us, we want to run a professionally run women team, not just women football. We want to make sure that what the men side enjoy, the women team will also enjoy that. So now we have a structure. And what is interesting is that most of the girls who we are scouted are currently under an education scheme. So what did we do? We felt, since some of you did not go to the secular school, we decided to enter into a partnership with a language center in the region, in Enugu, Alliance Française. And interestingly, when we muted this idea, the coach said, these girls are dull, they cannot. And I said, no, you can never tell. The brain is elastic. And do you know that some of the girls the coach hinted could not go through? They are the brightest in the class. So you see, it's about the power of vision and belief. It's about that innate ability to really tell yourself you can do it against all odds. So the Rangers women team, it has come to stay. And if you follow us on social media, you will see how we are doing a lot to make sure that the engagements from the women team is very lively, and it will be an inspiration to not just other women football clubs in Nigeria, but around Africa. And for me, it's a step ahead when it comes to leadership, when it comes to making impact as a young person. You understand? So for us at Rangers, we feel that we must create a difference, because there is this argument always from our region why young people should not be given the stage to show what they've got. And now people are saying, oh, this club has been there since 1970, and you never imagined you could get a women team. For instance, again, the Rangers Foundation. And some of these girls are under sponsorship and scholarship of the Rangers Foundation. All these things were implemented in a space of 2 years, because we announced a perfect strategic plan. So I think that's what you want for the women team. We can continue to talk about that, and we are open to partnerships, to engagement with anyone who is really optimistic about development of women football in Africa.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I think I'll follow up with you after this webinar, because I've also seen in the comment section a lot of people are now interested to get to know more about the Rangers, the women's side, the women's team. So thank you so much. I just had to ask that. Thank you so much, Mr. Amobi. I think we'll have now a bit of a Q&A. We'll pick a question or two from the audience, and I think I have the first question. And maybe I'll just address it to Dr. Sanders, maybe to answer this for us. How can we bring stakeholders on board to support different programs?
It's a very good question. I think for sport and sport for development, we need to engage both within sport, but also beyond sport. So this means engaging with sporting clubs, federations, associations like Rangers and others. It means engaging with sports ministries, and government, and obviously with NGOs and civil society. But we need to engage beyond sport as well, because if we want sport to really play a major role in contributing to development and peace, we need sport stakeholders and those working in sport for development and peace, like many of us, to be speaking to the health ministries, to be speaking to people in education so that sport can play a greater role in schools and keeping young people fit and healthy and engaged. We need to be speaking to people working in crime prevention. So, we need to be speaking across sectors, and we need to be speaking not just to the same people, not just to an echo chamber of people who all believe in sport, but we actually need to speak to people who don't necessarily believe in sport and show them with evidence and insight why sport can be a cost-effective solution to achieving their goals, the SDGs, the Agenda 2063, or whatever their goals may be. How can sport play a role in this? What does the research and evidence say? And how can sport programs, policies be a cost-effective, investment for actors within sport, but also beyond sport, like I said. So I'll leave it there, but yeah, happy to continue the dialogue. And I also saw a question from Peter Mondi about the SDGs, and just very quickly, I think this is really important. We only have 17% of the SDGs on track. Almost double that. Over a third of the SDGs are actually stalled or they're going backwards. And, and then we've got about 50%, that's also not on track. So we have a huge problem here. Progress on the SDGs and many other policies is slow. And it has even reversed in some cases with COVID, with wars, with humanitarian crises, with the global aid crisis. And so in this scenario, sport needs to step up and play an even greater role. Grassroots sport for development and peace can play a greater role alongside elite sport in creating a more equal and just society. And that is something that I think we all need to advocate for with proper research and proper evidence. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Ben. I think you picked the same question that I was also about to ask you as well. So fantastic. Thank you so much for your analysis. Thank you so much. And I think for our panel discussions, I think we will have to end it here because of time. Kindly bear with us because of time. I just want to thank our panelists for their contributions. And you can always continue the conversation, because I've also seen on the chat section, everybody's sharing their LinkedIn. People are getting to know each other on the chat section. So I'm hopeful that after this, we can always continue the conversation. And just to tie on what we've been doing today, as young African leaders, we had a competition where we asked the youth of the continent to just share an essay within 100 words essay of solutions, or how can we get more young people in sports leadership positions. So we have the winners, we have an announcement to make, and I think I'll take it back to our YALS president, Mr. Timothy Kaja, to take us through that session.
Thank you, Hilda. Can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes.
All right. I would like to thank, firstly, our panelists for sharing with us the experiences. It was a very insightful discussion, and we know pick up on this. But before we had this discussion, we had also invited fellow young people to share with us what their ideas are. And of course, our aim was to have this on record, so that it doesn't just stop here or stop within our particular bases, so we don't operate in silos. So we are looking at building at a YALS ideation bank, so that anytime we get a chance to be invited anywhere, or even if not invited, but have a chance to share what the youth think, we can be able to say that we collected these many ideas from these many youths, and we think you should have a chance to look at this. So we thank you for the dozens of our participants in our call. We are very, very grateful, and all your ideas would be put on record and archived in our ideation bank for future reference and also practical application. But we picked out three of, in our opinion, we could be wrong, but at least in our opinion, what we saw as the most outstanding opinions. Sorry about that. We picked out the three most outstanding submissions that we thought that we would deserve a mention, but not discredit any other submissions, which were equally brilliant. But just because we could only have three, we went with these three submissions. And we have number 3, we have Faith Ogega. Her submission came out ranking 3rd. And we also had Mr. Stephen Kambugu ranking 2nd, and Miss Nakato Lynette ranking 1st. So we're very grateful for those participants who shared with us, and we congratulate them for taking the effort, thinking through this, and condensing the ideas in just 100 words. We'll know this is not a one-off. We'll keep having this as often as we can, and we encourage us to participate in the different calls that we would make, and probably even they'll be more stronger, more vibrant. But also to our winners, we'll reach out to you via email, and we'll make arrangements on how to get your prizes to you. And part of the sponsors of this run was the Football for Africa Africa Football Business Summit, who was part of our sponsors for this run, run by Mr. Brian Wesala, who's with us luckily this afternoon, and he's also the patron of YALS. So just a reminder that, again, the Africa Football Business Summit will be happening at a new venue, 2025 in Mombasa. And it will be happening between the 23rd and the 24th of October, 2025. And we wish to have you there. You can just look up for them. Their website is already live, and you could buy tickets and make arrangements to meet there. As our panelists alluded to, Mr. Amobi Ezeaku, he first met Mr. Ferdinand Omanyala at that very summit. So you can see it's a place that really gives us also further opportunities to connect, engage, and build the Africa we want. Thank you very much, and back to you, Ms. Hilda.
Thank you so much, Mr. Timothy. Yeah, it's fantastic we got the 3 winners. I think it's a very, very good idea, so that we put on record those ideas and implement as we can, and as we continue the conversation as well. So thank you so much. And I think this is the stage where I'll just give an overview of the whole conversation today. I think we had very good conversation. I think we started with the challenges, and we got to the solutions. And I think it's now about going to do the nitty-gritties and doing the practical work. So I'm very, very grateful to my panel. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to having a conversation later on. I'm going to follow each one of you. I think I follow each one of you on LinkedIn. So I'm going to continue the conversation with probably each and every one of you. And yes, partnerships, collaboration is important. Skill sharing is important, and mentorship is important. So thank you so much. And I think I'll just wield the floor to Mr. Ferdinand Omanyala for just 2 minutes to inspire us, because he is a fantastic athlete, and it's not been an easy journey for Omanyala. So I leave the floor to him. 2 minutes, Mr. Omanyala, kindly just inspire us. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. So I have only 2 minutes, and I'll just give an overview and an inspiration from what has been a great journey for me over the years. And one thing, water breaks rocks because of its consistency. And I think that's something that has really been relatable to me in my career, because I've always been knocking on those doors. I was in a field that nobody believed in me, not even companies, because I could approach companies and they're like, no, a sprinter from Kenya, nah. So, I mean, I got so much of that because of what I was doing, but I never gave up. And funny is that one day I'll tell this story when you organize this next time. Then the year that I really wanted to give up is the year that the breakthroughs came. And from that story, I just told myself that I'll never give up. So the same thing I want to tell you guys, never give up. Sometimes it looks so hard to like achieve those goals, but the dream that you're carrying is just for you alone. Nobody else will carry that dream for you. Another thing that I've learned over the years is always stay humble. And one thing I noticed that I've learned that life is a very funny place to be, because we work so hard for a life that can end to any time, you know. We work so hard for a life that can end any time. And we get so attached to material things that we forget the purpose that we are in this life for. So I just want us to like remain humble. And I always tell people that the first birth was done by someone, and the last birth on earth will be done by someone. So stay humble, be a blessing to anyone, and support anyone that you meet along the way, because some are genuine, we are destiny helpers to some people. So I believe that that's something that will go a long way. Lastly, always trust in God and always put God first in everything that you do, because we have someone who is superhuman that's put us in this world. And sometimes we can't explain some things because there's someone else who is watching over us. And the smallest thing, like, Lord, what road should I take today as I go to work? That's the smallest prayer that you can have. The smallest prayers, like, which clothes should I put on today? Those are the things that I want to encourage you to just keep doing as you go on with your lives. And remember, God has put us for a purpose. Every one of us has a purpose in this life. So just realize it and make sure that you spread the love, spread the happiness, and be a blessing to everyone. So with that, I wish you guys a great year, and I wish you a fulfilling year, and be a blessing out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And before we all leave, finally, I'll now yield the final floor to Dr. Chipande, the head African Union Sports Council head, for him to give us his closing remarks. Dr. Chipande, kindly take the floor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cheptoo, and really inspiring to listen to this very, very educative and insightful conversation. May I firstly begin with apologizing to our French speakers. We intended to have simultaneous interpretation in French, but due to technical challenges, we could not do that. But we promise that in the next webinar, we'll certainly have French interpretation. As we have already heard, or it has already been mentioned, one of the main aspirations of the African Union Agenda 2063 is Aspiration 6. That stresses on an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of African people, especially its women and youth. And we are here for youth in particular. And this aspiration recognizes that Africa's youth are its greatest asset. And with their creativity, energy, and innovation seen as the driving force behind the continent's political and economic transformation. And this has been well articulated by our able panelists. Mr. Amobi mentioned the challenge of access, which is the greatest challenge that we have as a continent, youth access to leadership. The African Union is pushing for a mandatory youth representation quotas in national and sub-regional governments, and encouraging intergenerational collaboration to ensure inclusive governance. And this, Ms. Alassi mentioned, you know, where she's in a chef de mission's delegation, and people are saying, no, but we don't want children here. What is she doing here? This does not reflect the intergenerational collaboration that the African Union is pushing for. Therefore, the African Union Sports Council is working towards ensuring that there is youth representation in all its organs. Youth leadership in and through sports in particular is increasingly recognized as a powerful tool for social transformation across Africa, particularly that it promotes value-based leadership, you know, as you know, the values of sports. And this has been, again, well articulated by the panelists. This is why the African Union Sports Council greatly appreciates this collaboration with the young African leaders in sports. Mr. Kaja,
we would like to see this collaboration become even stronger in the coming years and bring together even other young sports leaders, entities to work together with us. We are even more happy that the collaboration is even growing with the involvement of the International Platform on Sports for Development, Dr. Sanders. Sports and Dev, you know, as Dr. Sanders articulated, offers a great opportunity for youth sports leaders on the continent. And we would like to strengthen this collaboration and relationship as well. And I also would like to thank our Honorable Minister, Honorable Ruango Ngarambe, the Minister of State for Sports of the Republic of Rwanda, for promoting youth leadership as you listened to the video, and our esteemed panelists for sharing their great insights and experiences. You are all indeed, in my humble view, the genuine role models of African youth leadership on the continent. And we are looking forward, as Ms. Cheptoo indicated, to engaging with you even more in the coming years. I followed the chat as well, Ms. Cheptoo, great participation of young leaders in sports running different organizations and initiatives. The African Union really appreciates your leadership and struggles, and we are here together to break the walls, build capacity, and decentralize this access, and build this generation of young sports leaders as articulated by Mr. Amobi. So together, we can do this. And thank you so much, all of you, for joining. And finally, a big thank you to our moderator, your good self, Ms. Cheptoo, for your really stern leadership in leading this webinar from the African Union Sports Council. And here in Yaoundé, we are very grateful. And thank you all, and have a good afternoon.